Hello everyone. We are here with Cristiane Oliveira, the director of the film A Primeira Morte de Joana, the first death of Joana. Thank you a lot for taking the time for this interview. And yeah, we have a few questions ready. So I think I will just start. And I will start with the title because I think it's really interesting. The title, The First Death of Joanna, it's like open for interpretation. You can either interpret it as the first death, the death of her aunt dying, or maybe her first death, maybe that she comes out and is homosexual or maybe be at least not straight. So what would you say is the first death of Joanna actually? And are there maybe more deaths to come?
First, thanks for this invitation. I'm very happy to be part of the festival. Unfortunately, it's this way, but about the title, well, the death of the great aunt is the fuse for Joanna's search for answers about her past, which leads her to discover more about herself. And the death in the film is related to passage, to transformation, and how sometimes we need to die somehow to be reborn in our fights so we can exist. And besides that, there is a poem by the poet Mário Quintana from my hometown, Porto Alegre. And this poem inspired the title. And that says, to love is to move the soul to another home. So there is a symbolic aspect regarding that moment in life in which one loses control over their body, when the body is occupied by the memory of someone we fall in love with. And this presence, starts to interfere in the way we present ourselves to the world. It changes. It's a kind of death.
Okay, thank you a lot. Yeah, it's a beautiful idea because I think we all, when we lose someone, so we want to keep them close. So we start to investigate or to remember things about them. So it's a really human experience, actually. Yeah. The village, they are German speaking people. It's a German speaking family. And I would like to know if there are actually German speaking villages, like somehow colonies. And why did you choose that village or a German speaking family?
Yeah, that area portrayed on the film received many families of German colonists in the 19th century. And some communities still preserve the local dialect called Hunsrückisch. I'm not saying it right, but it's called Hunsrückisch. And so in the film, you can see Lara and Norma speaking the dialect, while Sophia speaks contemporary German because she studied German and teaches German. And the young girls don't understand. Many young people are losing this connection to their roots. And I choose this place because between the years of 2005 and 2007, when I used to spend holidays on beaches close to Porto Alegre, my hometown, I saw the landscape of this lagoon region change. There are more than 20 lagoons that compose a unique system in the world because of its big extension of fresh water. And these lagoons are close to that hill with native forest. So that is already impressive, that hill is so alive. But around 2006, this landscape gained giant white wind turbines that form one of the biggest wind power stations of the South Hemisphere. So there I saw the ideal scenario to build Joana's story, since she is a teenager who was also going through changes. And her family structure really fits to tell us about the German colonization that happened in the 19th century in Brazil, in that area, and how they mixed with the Portuguese colonists and the African people enslaved by them. The Germans came inside a Brazilian program to expand the population, but actually had a background intention to whiten the workforce in Brazil that had already back then a big population of Black enslaved people. And still nowadays, we can see in that area the influence of this ethnic mix in many ways. And this mix is really rich nowadays.
Yeah, well, thank you. I didn't know anything about that, and it's really interesting. Yeah.
Yes, and you can see, for example, in that region, there is a strong, the descendants of the African people has a strong community there, and their their folklore is it has been absorbed as a local folklore, and the cooking of the German and the food, the way they prepare the food, is absorbed by the local people. So we can see in the architecture and many things this mix of cultures there.
Okay, that's interesting. So like the German culture is mixed with the African culture and the Brazilian culture, everything is mixed there.
Yes.
Right. Oh, I'd love to see that. And in the film, you also show a really somehow traditional attitude towards religion, towards homosexuality, towards gender roles. Is this common in this area, or is this still common in Brazil, maybe in general? I know you can never generally speak for a whole country, but maybe it's still somehow common for different parts of Brazil or colonies, villages.
Well, what is clearly happening in Brazil now is that conservative groups are gaining power in the last years, and we see clearly how this reflects on such topics. For example, the Ministry of Human Rights is held by an evangelical woman that is against gender education in schools. And one of her first public campaign focused on young people that was to prevent unplanned pregnancy, showed abstinence as method on the propaganda. Because, she said, having sex too early puts you away from family values. And the president himself, who claims to be very Catholic, says he is against public financing for works of art that talks about topics of gender and sexuality. So I started to write the treatment of this feature based on situations that happened between 2005 and 2007. Since then, we have great progress in human rights in Brazil. For example, in 2006, it started a new law to prevent violence against women. In 2013, happened the legalization of marriage between people of same gender, and it started the public health care for transgender people. So when I started to write the screenplay for fundraising, I asked myself if those conflicts portrayed on the film were still making sense. And unfortunately, we saw that, yes, it still happens in Brazil. And I think we are facing now a backlash after a period of great progress in human rights. This is not only in a specific area, but all over Brazil, we can see it. And the good thing is that even inside the traditional religions, there are groups speaking against this and defend the human rights. So I feel it's an everyday work we have here to dialogue to people, to naturalize inclusive values, you know.
Okay, thank you. So the topic is actually really an actual topic. Yeah. I would like to talk about the film and about the scenes, how you combine the scenes, because you have somehow also mystic scenes. I think the sound you use, the images you use, how you combine the different scenes, it gives somehow mystic touch. And I wanted to know if you did that on purpose, if there is a message, if there's something behind it, or if you just really liked it as an artistic future.
Well, it came from the fact that adults tend to avoid certain themes when dealing with children and teenagers, as if they are not already able to learn. But when curiosity arises, it means they are ready to learn. So I believe everyone has the right to receive proper information, and Joana is not satisfied with the answers the adults give to her questions. That is why she creates a particular universe that helps her to elaborate her own answers. And this is influenced by the religions around her. I grew up surrounded by many different religions in my own family. But when I was a teenager, I started to study religions in general to understand how certain rules could be seen as metaphors or are dogmas that could go against your nature. However, before reaching that point of being able to analyze what was good or not for me, many symbolisms and prejudices were already populating my head. So we really need inclusive and comprehensive education for young people to deconstruct some prejudices introduced in our heads since early age, especially in a country so superstitious and religious as Brazil, where the conservative religious groups, these conservative politicians are gaining power and are working to forbid education about gender and sexual diversities in schools. They claim that information arouses dirty thoughts in children and that this promotes pedophilia. While in fact, we can see by the example of other countries that information prevents violence. If you have information before you face a violent situation, you will know how to react against this. If you do not have information, you become an easy victim. This also connects you to mystical powers in a wrong way. If you are young and you don't have information and you are feeling dirty, you start to search for an spiritual healing to your guilty, and that's where it starts a distortion on natural feelings. So all of this influenced the writing of Joana's story.
I really, really love the way you mix everything in the film and the way you show the topic, and like the viewer is experiencing or making the same experience as Joana. You somehow feel the same as Joana, and I really, really think it's an important film, and I hope that many people see the film and understand a little bit better how your mind changes and how your attitude towards life maybe changes. I really hope. You have a new film. Yeah, you're already working on a new film, and 2017 you made the film Mulher do Pai, Nalu on the Border in English.
Yes.
And then you made a film, The First Death of Joana, and now you're already working on the next one. It's called Até que a música pare. Is that right? And
Yes.
until the music is over, sorry for the pronunciation.
Yes.
Is there a connection between your films? Is the new film like a sequel maybe, or are they different? Do you want to see them films as a project all together? Yeah.
Actually, each film came from very different inspirations. My first one was a natural development from the research I did for my first short. And it's about a young woman entering the adulthood. While the second one was inspired by a real woman I've met that died at the age of 70 without never having a relationship, a romantic relationship, or dated anyone. So it inspired me to talk about courage, and it's about the starting the teenagehood. While the third one was inspired by a family story of a friend of mine, and it's about an elder couple living a crisis after many years of many decades of marriage. So, however, now, so they are very different. But however, now that the third one is already written, I can see that all of them somehow approach the process of women building their own autonomy. In each case, it's a different struggle, but somehow there is always a search for their own truth against conservative forces or something like that. Yes, that there is a connection now, I can see.
Yeah. So, and the next film is coming out 2022, right? Or that's planned?
Yes, that's the plan. Actually, we wanted to shoot this year, but because of the pandemic situation, we are not sure yet if it will be possible. So maybe we will have the shooting in 2022.
Okay, that's great.
And it's a co-production with Italy. It's a Brazilian, Italian, yes, film.
But you will be filming in Brazil.
Yes, and now into the region of Italian colonists.
Okay. Yeah. I can't wait to see the next one, and because I really loved the first death of Joana. It's a really good film, and I really hope that our visitors enjoy the film because it talks about really important topics and in a really easy way, because the film, it's an easy film. Like, you go into the film and get out and you understand it better. So I really hope they enjoyed. And thank you a lot for giving us the possibility to show the film during our festival. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. I really hope so too, that people can naturalize. And that was our goal, you know, and all the cast were committed to make it natural during the shooting, during the way we built the story. So enjoy, and I would love to connect with people, even though I'm not there in person. So if anybody wants to send a message, please write to us in our Instagram. It's the title of the film in Portuguese, A Primeira Morte de Joana. So we would love to connect, and let's keep in touch, please.
Yeah, thank you a lot.